Erin woke up excited, as she often did. Usually she had enough of a sex toy until Alex returned from work. But today, relief was in the next room. Will she dare? Brian was ready yesterday afternoon. Will he be as eager this morning? Getting out of bed, naked after a night with Alex, Erin considered going to Brian's in this form, but quickly decided that it might be too soon. Erin put on a loose tank top and thong and walked out of the bedroom. Despite the fact that his brother justified him for the mistake, and even admitted that he put Erin up to it, Brian woke up with a feeling of awkwardness. He stayed in bed until Alex left for work. It was very sweet of Alex to care so much about him, but for his wife to do something sexual, Brian just couldn't understand. On the other hand, he wasn't lying to Alex when he said Erin was too attractive to resist. He had truly wanted her ever since she and Alex got together, and the proposal from her was the opportunity of a lifetime. Brian wasn't particularly surprised when his bedroom door opened and Erin appeared dressed even less than the previous morning. But she said she likes to feel comfortable in her home. Who is he to complain? He started to get excited. "How are you this morning?" she asked. "I think it's better than yesterday. Thanks for your help. I've thought about this a lot." "I'm glad, because me too." "Is it true?" "Marvelous. Alex told me that he was the one who put you up to it." "Did he say that?" "Yes. I feel terrible about this. It's not worth it. I really liked it." "Is it true?" "Ugh. I don't know what to think about this, but I have to be honest with you." "You better be honest." "I feel worse not because of what we did, but because my brother asked his wife to do it. I don't know what this says about me. I think, given your period of abstinence, there is nothing to worry about." She walked towards the bed. "But I'm glad you don't feel so bad about what we did, because I want to do it again." "Alex asked you again." She sat on the edge of the bed, her tank top barely covering her breasts and her thong covering almost nothing. "No, but he didn't say not to do it. I've just been thinking about you a lot." "Is it true?" She noticed the movement and smiled. "I thought a lot about your breasts. They are perfect." "Yes, do you want to see them again?" I would be lying if I said no. And so quickly, Erin took off her shirt. Her breasts stood straight and proud, without sagging. Brian sucked in a breath. Yesterday, he couldn't resist touching them. Today, he did it on purpose. She actually seemed to lean towards his hand. They were amazing. Then they pleased each other and were very happy. They continued to hug each other for several minutes, and again, Brian would have liked to end it with a kiss, but he was not so brave. After a while of taking a shower, considering the activities of yesterday and this morning, he wondered where this was going. Erin was busy showing the house late in the morning, and Brian was able to schedule an appointment with Tim Davis around the same time. He was instantly pleased with the lawyer and his partner, Corinne. The fee was reasonable, and after questions, the lawyers instructed Brian to decide whether to hire a private investigator to follow Sarah to see if she was actually cheating, or forget about it and just move forward with the divorce process once they knew who her lawyer was. Brian stopped for lunch alone to think about what to do and felt somewhat overwhelmed by having to make this decision. He hadn't thought about a private detective, and suddenly he wasn't sure he really wanted to know. He returned to Alex and Erin again in not the best mood. It occurred to him that he should be courageous and accept what was happening, and not let every step throw him off. Erin returned shortly after him. "Did it go wrong?" she asked, noticing the sour expression on his face. She sat down next to him, their legs touching each other. Brian told her about his positive experiences with the lawyers and his decision regarding the private investigator. "Are you leaning towards any option?" He shrugged. "I'm not sure I want to know." "I'd like to know." "Is it true?" "Why?" Perhaps she had a good point. Closing the issue. "Sarah said you were going your separate ways, and she just wants to move on. But that's not a reason for divorce," Erin said. "It's vague. This is subjective. This is simply her version of what she thinks happened. It's not specific. It doesn't give you closure. Plus, if you disagree, you talk about it and try to fix it. On the other hand, if you are having an affair and want to be with this person, then you need an immediate exit. This is specific, it's final, and it gives you closure. Doesn't divorce close the issue? Brian thought out loud. Divorce is the end result. That's not the reason why. I didn't look at it that way. Erin stood up, much to Brian's dismay. Something to think about. She disappeared into the kitchen, but returned a few seconds later with 2 bottles of beer. Isn't it too early for this? You drink with my husband, but you can't drink with me. Brian smiled. I'd rather drink with you. Sitting up again, almost snuggling, in her most seductive voice, Erin whispered, "What else would you like to do with me?" "If only you knew," Brian replied with a grin. Also chuckling, Erin lightly placed her hand on his pants. "Would you say that?" "I don't think I would disagree," he replied playfully. Her finger hooked onto the zipper and slowly pulled it down. "And this?" "I wouldn't argue." Her hand reached inside his pants. "And would you like me to continue this?" "I wouldn't dare stop you." "Oh damn, I don't want to play word games anymore." And with these words, she unzipped his pants, pulled down his underwear, and began to caress him. "Back to it, huh? You'll understand the reason later." Erin set her bottle down on the coffee table and rested her head on his shoulder, looking down at what she was doing. He hugged her, gently rubbing circles on her back. He felt so close to her now, not just physically. Why didn't he find her first? Brian realized, brutally, that he might now love Erin more than he ever loved Sarah. Their lips were very close, and their eyes conveyed the same thought. And just then they heard the garage door open. Now their faces said it all. He was about to get up, but she stopped him. "Sit," she said, calmly moving to the other end of the sofa. Things looked relaxed enough when Alex walked into the house. Seeing their beer, he remarked, "You started without me." "Brian met with a lawyer," Erin said. "He needed a little support." Brian pretended to have a confused expression on his face. Alex got himself a beer, sat down in his favorite chair, and said, "Tell me about it." And Brian told. Erin then explained her logic about the private investigator, and Alex agreed. It made sense to Brian when Erin first mentioned it, and it still does. However, he really couldn't make a decision. He excused himself to use the bathroom. When Alex heard the bathroom door close, he awkwardly asked his wife, "Are you, He made a gesture with his hand, feigning self-satisfaction, afraid to say it out loud. Erin rolled her eyes. "Yes, he was a little tense when he got back from the lawyer, so I did it. You didn't say not to do it again, but that was the last time." She looked firmly at her husband. "Understood. Thank you for doing this." She simply nodded. "I'll go cook dinner." She got up and went to the kitchen. A minute later, Brian returned. "So, was today hard?" Alex asked. Brian shrugged. "I think I just need to stop letting all this affect me." "This is a big deal, little brother. I think you're doing better than I would have done. At least you have Erin to come home to." "Not sure what you mean." "She." Alex made the hand gesture again. "Yes," Brian answered bluntly, also rolling his eyes. "Did you ask her again?" "I didn't say anything either way." With a nod, Brian said, "I don't want any more crafts, Alex. I want something else," he thought to himself. "Tell her yourself." "I'll tell you." Alex turned on the TV, and they watched the evening news in silence until dinner. The rest of the evening was spent eating dinner and watching TV. Brian went to bed earlier than the others. Erin had real estate work, and then Alex went to bed, and she waited for him to fall asleep before going to bed herself. The reason was that she began to have serious feelings for Brian. What bothered her was that she felt nothing less for Alex. It wasn't like she fell out of love with her husband only to fall in love with her brother-in-law. Could she love two men? Do people do this? The concept was both exciting and scary. But was it fair to Alex? Maybe it really is time for Brian to find his own place. But even as she thought about it, she hated the idea and pushed it away. She lay down in the hope that sleep would relieve her of these painful thoughts. However, This did not happen. She constantly had to wake up to stop the scary but exciting dreams of her, Alex, and Brian together. But apparently, she still found peace at some point, because Alex's kiss on her cheek woke her up. Sorry, I didn't want to wake you. Everything is fine. I need to get up. I have another show later. Sorry, I didn't wait for you. Yesterday was a busy day. I'm tired. Erin smiled. This is fine. What time did you go to bed? Don't know. Late. We needed to work on the contract. Alex nodded. I have to go. I love you. He stopped at the door to their bedroom for a second and turned to her with a half-frowning expression, as if they rarely said such words to each other. He hesitated for a few seconds and then said, "And I love you." It made her feel better saying those words. She really meant them. The couple were no strangers to these words, but they didn't use them as often as they probably should have. But as she listened to Alex bustle around the kitchen, she couldn't help but think about Brian. Then the enticing aroma of freshly brewed coffee reached her, and suddenly a cup of invigorating coffee became her new goal. Getting out of bed in a not-so-sexy nightgown, Erin headed down the hallway, but stopped at the door to Brian's room. The door wasn't closed tightly, but it wasn't open enough to see inside either. She was tempted to push the door, but resisted. However, unable to bear it, after a few seconds, she was already looking inside. Brian lay on his back, the blanket pulled down to his waist, exposing his sculpted chest. One leg was bent at the knee, which was peeking out from under the blanket, if that wasn't tempting. Erin moved closer to the bed. She touched him gently, not wanting to wake him, and began to have sex with him. It was divine and definitely something she had never done before. It was exactly the same thought that came to Brian's mind. It was wonderful, he thought he should say. No one has ever done this before. The fear turned into a wide smile. Glad you like it. She resumed her movement. I wanted to feel you. Brian smiled. Is that all you want? I really want more, but I'm not sure I should get it. What do you think? You put me in a compromising situation. I don't think I can answer objectively. Erin became more serious. We will actually cross the line. Like we haven't crossed yet. Is this an argument for? Because at the moment my resistance is so low that I don't need much convincing. Erin, you've been too good to me for me to deny you anything. I'm not just talking about sexual things. Moral support, comfort, friendship. After a few seconds of tense silence, Brian said, I'd be lying if I didn't say I've never experienced anything so wonderful in my life. It's really amazing, Erin agreed. Do we dare? Erin broke the kiss only to plead, Oh, Brian, love me. Brian waited a moment, then rolled onto his side, facing her. She turned on her side to meet his gaze. They smiled at each other. I'm so happy right now, he said. Me too. I'm glad. I don't want you to ever feel bad about this. We both needed it, we did it, and this could be the end of it. Never. What are you doing today? He frowned at the sudden change in direction of the conversation. I'm going to the office to talk to the boss, explain what's going on. Tell him I'll be back on Monday. When I first called, I simply asked for a few days off to deal with personal matters. Okay, I have a screening this morning. I will try to return as soon as possible. I'd like you to try too, if you can, so we can do this again before Alex gets home. Do we need to talk about this? Not now. Like you said, we both needed it and we did it. And that was good. No, it was wonderful. But it was somewhat spontaneous. I want to do this again to see if there's anything really meaningful about it. If not, then as you also said, it may end. But if there is something, then we will need to talk. Brian smiled again. I like the way you think. Brian wanted to be with Erin again so badly that he rushed to a meeting with his boss, who understood his situation, having gone through a divorce himself a few years ago. Brian arrived home before Erin and nervously paced back and forth, waiting for her to return. After an hour, he was exhausted and sat down on the sofa. And of course, at that moment, Erin returned. He was about to get up and follow her into the bedroom, but she stopped him. "Wait there. I'll be back soon." It didn't seem positive, but she came back very quickly and sat down very close to him. Dressed in nice trousers and a tight-fitting sweater, she had her legs tucked in, her knees bent. Placing her hand on his thigh, Erin asked, "How was the meeting with the boss?" Maybe she was gaining courage too, he thought. He was very understanding. I myself went through a divorce several years ago. He agreed that I would be out until Monday. "What about your show?" "Interesting. I'll tell you and Alex later. I think I'll have a sale." Then she sat on his lap, turning slightly to the side. Leaning on his shoulder, she cupped his face with her other hand. She leaned down and kissed his cheek, then pressed her lips to his, but only let the sweet kiss last a few seconds. "You still want it, right? More than anything else." Was things so bad between him and his wife that he never realized, understood, appreciated, or experienced all these new sensations he was experiencing with Erin, or was Erin just that good, or both? A huge amount of emotion was conveyed when they looked into each other's eyes. By not agreeing on this, they knew they had crossed another dangerous line. The evening went the same as the previous ones: evening news, dinner, conversations, and TV again. Alex noticed that Erin and Brian were quiet. He caught them exchanging glances, but took it to mean that his brother was admiring his wife. Erin received a call from people she was showing the house to today. They wanted to propose, so she excused herself and went into the spare bedroom they had converted into an office to do it. Alex watched Brian look at Erin as she walked away. "You like what you see, right?" Alex noted. Not realizing he was so obvious, Brian said, "Sorry, she is truly something special." "Yes, that's true," Alex agreed. "Did anything happen between you two today?" "No." Then he added, "No petting." "Sorry," Alex offered, but in fact he was glad. Brian just gave him an absurd look. After a while, Brian went to bed. Alex looked at Erin as he headed to their bedroom. She was on the phone, listening. Covering the microphone, she whispered, "Do not wait for me. It'll take a while, but it looks like I'll have a deal." She gave him an enthusiastic smile. Returning his smile, Alex nodded. "Wake me up when you come to bed." He tried to wait for her, thinking that they didn't have sex last night, so she would definitely want it today. But he couldn't keep his eyes open. When Erin finally closed the deal much later, she headed to the bedroom, thinking about the people she had sold the house to. The door to Brian's room was closed when she walked past. Looking into Alex, she saw that he was fast asleep. He told her to wake him up, but she didn't and wondered if it was because she had sex with Brian twice today. This made her think for a moment about what she was doing with her son-in-law, and those thoughts, along with her busy day, sent her into an instant slumber. Strangely, she had dreams about today's home buyers. He felt it rather than knew it, and with that came a fair amount of uncertainty. However, he had a good idea of how to find out for sure. As soon as Erin heard the door open and close, signaling that Alex had left for work, despite her late-night thoughts, she jumped out of bed and headed to Brian's room. He was already cheerful and was looking forward to her appearance. He had a huge smile on his face, and he found it amusing to see her standing in the doorway completely naked. He lifted the blanket, and within seconds she was snuggled up next to him. Erin clung to him, kissed him passionately on the lips, and asked insistently, "I'm so excited. Can we skip straight to the main event?" Moving stealthily, Alex headed out of the kitchen and down the hallway, stopping at Brian's room. He just pretended to leave by opening and closing the front door. Their verbal exchange and quick glance inside confirmed his suspicions. He watched with a frown and an angry expression as his wife had sex with his brother. Ready to break in, he stopped to look a little more. The sight of Erin's naked body sliding along Brian was actually arousing. Alex wondered if she looked as attractive when they had sex. He knew about her sensuality, but now he saw her from a different side. But finally, the reality of the situation made itself felt. Alex shook his head to rid himself of these thoughts. He slowly moved towards the bed. Something made Erin turn her head. "Oh shit, what?" Brian asked, thinking it was a comment about their sex. "Alex," she whispered. Brian turned to see Alex. "Oh damn," he repeated. He quickly tried to disentangle himself from her, as if it would make any difference. "I guess I shouldn't be surprised," Alex said. "Sorry, brother. I, I, I don't know what to say." "You can't say anything. I think it's time for me to move out." "You think so?" Alex answered sharply. "No. Nobody's going anywhere," Erin said authoritatively. She didn't even try to cover herself. There was no point. "Seriously?" asked her husband. Brian remained in bed, but pulled the blanket over himself. Erin stood up and crawled on her knees to the edge of the bed towards her husband. "Darling, I love you more than anything in the world. It's not because I stopped loving you. So it's just your insatiable need for sex." "That's true," Erin agreed, "but I won't lie to you. I really feel something for Brian. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I know it's more than I should feel. You and he are so similar that you couldn't be more alike even if you were twins. Being with him is just like being with you, so it's hard not to feel something for him." "What does it mean?" Alex asked with a frown. "I'm not sure," Erin admitted with a shrug. "I'm still trying to figure it out." "It looks like you want to be with both of us," Alex concluded, dissatisfied. "Am I not satisfying you anymore?" "You satisfy me," Erin confirmed. "But I also know that I want more than you can give me. And it's not your fault. I don't know why I'm like this, why I feel like I need a lot of sex. But it is so." "I don't think I should be a part of this," Brian interrupted. "You're kidding, right?" Alex asked mockingly. "You're part of this, Brian," Erin said. "And yes, honey, I want Brian to be a part of this." "So on those nights when you want him, you kick me out and he comes." "He's already here. Do you want him to continue living with us?" Alex asked in disbelief. "It's awkward," Brian intervened. "You are brothers, you share everything," Erin said. "But not my wife." "Why not? Who asked whom to please his brother?" "Without a specific method, I might add." "Now you're trying to blame it on me." "No, honey, I'm not trying. I'm just reminding you that you were willing to share me." Erin took a deep breath. "Let's all calm down for a minute. Have you made coffee?" "What?" "Yes." "Then let's have a cup," Erin suggested. "I want to tell you about the people I just sold a house to." She calmly climbed down from the bed, not at all embarrassed by her nakedness, and in fact, hoping that it would disarm the men. "What the hell does that have to do with this?" Alex asked. And then, when Brian got out of bed, also still naked, Alex looked at him and exclaimed, "God, you're bigger than me." "That doesn't mean I know how to use it better," Brian said, heppled on his shorts. For some reason, this remark satisfied Alex. Both men followed Erin into the kitchen. She took cups and poured them each, then sat down at the kitchen table. Although the situation was serious, Brian found some amusement in the three of them sitting around a table and Erin naked. "Have you ever heard of polyamory?" The brothers looked at each other and shook their heads. "The house I sold yesterday had 3 people buying it," Erin continued. "A man and 2 women. The man and one of the women were married. One of their first questions when I showed the house was what neighborhood it was in. They wanted mostly young, open-minded neighbors. When I asked why, they explained that they were in an open relationship. Although 2 of them were married, 3 lived together in intimate relationships. They love each other and live together in a consensual relationship." "How's polygamy?" Alex asked. "No, they said polygamy usually involves one person, usually a man, having multiple spouses. Polyamory is more general. It can, of course, include polygamy, but usually does not. They said there are even polyamorous relationships in which 2 couples, 2 men, 2 women live together. Marriage is not mandatory in a polyamorous relationship, but sometimes it is, as in their case. This knowledge and agreement defines them, an ideology of openness, goodwill, honest communication, and ethical behavior." Seeing that her husband and brother-in-law were listening intently, Erin continued, Just so you know, sex is not necessarily the main aspect of a polyamorous relationship. They are more interested in building long-term relationships with more than one person on mutually agreed upon terms. Sex is just one aspect of their relationship. They do not believe that sexual and relational exclusivity are necessary for deep, committed, long-term loving relationships. So how did they come to this arrangement? Brian asked curiously. The couple knew before they got married that, statistically, their marriage only had a 50% chance of surviving, so they went into it with an open mind. They agreed that if one of them became interested in someone else, they would discuss it before either of them simply left the other. A man got back together with a woman he dated in college before he met his wife. Both women actually knew and loved each other. The wife suspected that her husband was still interested in his ex-girlfriend. Apparently, their breakup was a stupid misunderstanding. So the wife invited her ex-girlfriend over so everyone could get acquainted again. Well, it looks like everyone drank a little too much and started fooling around playfully until it got serious and they had a threesome. The next morning, when they sobered up and discussed what had happened, everyone admitted that they liked what they did and they liked being together. The girls even admitted that neither of them had ever been with another woman before, but they liked each other. The three met often after that, and not always for sex. My wife found out about polyamory, convinced the others to try it, and 5 years later, they bought a house together. Erin paused to let the men digest the story. Finally, Alex spoke. "And this is what you want for us?" He said this in an almost accusatory tone. "This is the decision." "For you," Alex chided. "It's not just about sex, honey. You and Brian are so similar. Why wouldn't I want both of you?" "You're too quiet, Brian," Alex remarked. Brian shrugged. "Right now, I feel like meat in a sandwich. For now, it was between the two of you." "Looks like you're part of the equation now," Alex noted. "So what do you think about this? Although it seems that this is exactly what you want." "Well, big brother," Brian replied, "my opinion is, stop being hostile. You invited me to stay. You invited your wife to satisfy me. If there's anything to apologize for, it's for not resisting." Brian looked Alex straight in the eyes. "Besides, you know what your wife wants. It doesn't matter what I want until you decide what you want. If you decide you want this, then I will have to decide if I want to be a part of it." "Would you like to be a part of this?" Alex asked, calming down. "If I was sure that this is what you really want, then I would be willing to discuss it," Brian said bluntly. Alex nodded. He got up. "I have to go to work." He looked at his wife and brother, then said, "I can't control what you two will do all day." He left without even kissing Erin goodbye. "Come on, let's go back to bed," she said. "What?" "Kidding. Things got a little tense around here. I thought it was worth diffusing the situation. I need to meet with buyers." "Polyamorous buyers?" "Yes. You want to go? Ask your questions?" "No. There are some things I need to sort out." Alex felt that someone was standing in the doorway of his office. Looking up, he was surprised to see his brother. "Do you have a few minutes?" Brian asked. Alex thought for a few seconds before saying, "Yes, come in." He gestured to the chair in front of his desk. "I was wondering if we could talk about what happened this morning," Brian began. "I'll say it again, although I'm not sure it matters, but I'm really sorry. I didn't come to your house with the intention of staying, and I certainly didn't plan anything with Erin." "I know," Alex finally said, much calmer than at home. "As I said this morning, I shouldn't have been surprised. The truth is that I've been afraid my whole life that Erin would eventually cheat on me. As you probably know, she has an insatiable sexual appetite, and I knew that the day would come when I would not be able to satisfy her. Honestly, I never expected it to be you. I always thought that it would be some other man that she would meet somewhere, have a whirlwind romance, and eventually leave me. In a way, I'm glad it was you." "Oddly enough, Alex, I never noticed that she was unhappy with you or had any thoughts about leaving, and I am absolutely sure that she is not having an affair." Alex simply nodded. I've been thinking about polyamory all morning. What do you really think about this? It's an interesting concept, Brian admitted, but I stand by my point. It all depends on what you want. If you're not for it, then it doesn't matter whether I want it or not. That's not true, Alex countered. If I agree and you don't want to be a part of it, then we're back where we started. If I knew you were going to be a part of this, it would have helped me decide. I have to admit that polyamory isn't as weird as I thought it was. I did some research this morning, and it turns out it works in many cases. But it's not for everyone, and I wouldn't agree to try this with anyone but you. I don't have male friends with whom I would be willing to share my wife. Everything Erin said about it this morning was spot on. But despite this, it must be based on consenti, openness, and equality in our situation, at least initially. It's all about me sharing with my wife. I wouldn't want to do that with a stranger. Now it was Brian's turn to nod in understanding. Are you saying you're leaning towards this? Like Erin said, it's a decision. But do you really feel like you should consider this as a solution? Brian wanted to know. I mean, it's more like a perceived problem. Would we be talking about this if I hadn't come to your house to tell you about the divorce? Or if you hadn't asked Erin to do what you asked? Or if it hadn't gone any further between her and me? For the first time, Alex actually smiled. That's a lot of ifs, little brother. On the other hand, events could have worked out to bring us to where we are now. Perhaps everything that happened to bring us here. They say everything happens for a reason. I guess that's another way to look at it. So, you still haven't answered me. Will you be a part of this? Alex insisted. We've always been honest with each other, so tell me what you really think. When you left this morning, I thought all bets were off. I didn't think you'd agree to polyamory. I was going to find an apartment and move. But then I felt that you and I needed to talk and clear things up. Now it looks like you're leaning towards it, and part of your decision depends on whether I'll be a part of it. Do you want honesty? Just the thought of sharing Erin is almost enough to make him agree to it. But I need to think about the long-term consequences, and I think you do too. And you need to discuss this with Erin. It's not something you just have to agree to or not. Alex nodded thoughtfully. Sounds reasonable. Let's talk about this tonight. But Brian wasn't there when Alex returned home. Where is my brother? He asked his wife. Erin replied with a worried look. Don't know. He hasn't been here all day. He left this morning and said he had business to do. He showed up at my office this morning and wanted to talk, Alex said. Did you have a fight with him? No. We had a really good conversation. Alex told her the details. Nodding, Erin asked, So what conclusion have you come to? Alex went to the kitchen and got them a bottle of beer. They sat down together on the sofa. Is this what you really want? He asked. Not at the expense of everything else. Erin took a deep breath and placed her hand on his leg. I'm sorry that I have such a strong sexual appetite. I'm really sorry. I guess it wouldn't be so bad if I didn't like it so much. I know this is a heavy burden for you. Alex smiled. I wouldn't call it a burden. But this is more than you have to handle. I mean, sex between spouses should be fun and loving, not a chore like it has become for you. It's not always an obligation. It should never be an obligation. And that makes polyamory the solution, Alex concluded. To some extent, polyamory should be more about multiple people loving each other equally and being open to new possibilities. It doesn't have to be just about sex. But for us, at least in the beginning, this will be the main focus. You said you felt something for Brian? Feel. Not exactly what I feel for you, but enough for it to be a solution. I don't think I could just meet another man and have an affair. Is it true? Alex asked with some surprise. You know that's always been my fear. No, I didn't know, but I suspected it. Do you have this fear towards Brian? Not so much, Alex answered honestly. He and I have always been honest with each other, so I think if things got serious between you two, he would have talked to me first, and it wouldn't have been like you just came to me and said that we were between it's all over like his wife. This is a benefit of being in a polyamorous relationship, Erin pointed out. We're all open and honest with each other, so there won't be any surprises like that. It's not like in a novel where 1 out of 3 people doesn't know what's going on. You keep looking at the door, Alex remarked. Are you worried about Brian? Without realizing she was doing this, Erin winced. Well, he's been gone for a really long time. Turning her attention away from her preoccupation, she asked, So what is your decision about polyamory? If that's what you want, I'm willing to try. Smiling happily, Erin said, I don't want you to do this just for me. You want me to want it. Well, yes. Besides, I won't know if I want it until I try it. And I'm ready to do this, Alex clarified. Of course, unless Brian wants to participate, then this conversation remains theoretical. Erin winced. There is this too. Another bottle of beer, and an hour later Brian finally returned. Erin instantly jumped up and stood in front of him, much to Alex's delight. Where have you been? Erin demanded. We were worried about you. Brian glanced questioningly at his brother. Welcome to married life, Alex said, laughing. Family life, Brian repeated. I'm leaving family life. Not if you join us in polyamory, Alex said. So you've made up your mind, Brian noted. Yes, Alex confirmed. And you? Brian looked at Erin, who was still standing in front of him, looking at him with the most hope. Looking her straight in the eyes, he said, He paused. I'll tell you later. Noo, Erin screamed. With a big smile, Brian said, Just kidding. He placed his hands on her shoulders and guided her back to the couch, sitting her down next to her husband. Are you sure you want this? Yes, Porvella Erin. I'm ready to try, Alex said. And Erin, Brian continued, this is not an ultimatum for Alex, right? No, of course not. Okay, Brian, Alex demanded. What is your decision? Brian nodded and said, I'm ready to try too. But you don't really know if you like it until you try it, right? Erin concluded. With a big smile, Brian asked, Yes, how did you know? She shook her head in amazement. That's exactly what your brother said. You said we couldn't be more alike if we were twins, Brian reminded her. Oh, how right I was. Brian went to the kitchen and returned with 3 bottles of beer. He didn't notice the empty bottles they had already drunk, but they accepted the ones he brought. So you didn't answer my question, Erin insisted. Where have you been, Brian? Alex said you visited him. Then where did you go? Well, Mom, I ate lunch and then went to the library to use the computer to research the polyamorous lifestyle. Alex said he looked into it this morning, so I figured I should do the same. And you couldn't call? Didn't your research tell you that we should be honest and open in our communications? Yes, it said. I'm sorry. You'll have to get used to it. Erin smiled. This time I forgive you. Thank you. So how does it work? He asked, sitting down on Erin's other side. As we wish, she replied. I mean, we make our own rules as we go along, as long as everyone agrees. For now, I think we should leave everything as it is. Then, as we become more comfortable, we can change them to suit our needs and desires. Sounds like a plan, Brian said in agreement. Alex? I agree with that, but there is one more thing we need to agree on. What? Erin and Brian asked at the same time. What's for dinner? They all laughed. How about we order some pizza, cuddle, and watch a movie? Erin suggested. Sounds like a plan, Brian said with a grin. But the pizza is on me. I agree, Alex said. With full bellies and a bottle of wine later, Erin, Alex, and Brian were all lounging on the couch, watching an action movie she'd let the guys pick out so they wouldn't think too much about their new polyamorous status. Of course, it was a movie that everyone had already seen, so that might work against them. She suggested that everyone change into something comfortable, so she wore a light t-shirt with no bra and short shorts with no panties as a minor mental distraction. The men also wore t-shirts and shorts. It didn't take long before Erin felt Alex stealing glances at her, or at her breasts showing through her t-shirt. Turning to him, she whispered, "Are you okay?" He nodded and said silently, "I love you." She answered him in kind, and he hugged her, pulled her towards him, and kissed her on the cheek. Then he started watching the movie again. A quick glance at Brian showed her that he had noticed Alex's kiss, so he cupped her head, leaned in, and kissed her on the lips. Nothing serious, just a quick peck. Since she and Brian hadn't gotten very far this morning when Alex walked in on them, Erin hadn't had sex all day, and naturally, she was very horny. "Let's go, guys." Erin was clearly playful, so they tried to be the same. She led them into the master bedroom, throwing herself onto the bed and falling onto her back. They started having sex, which Erin had dreamed about for so long. When they ended, Erin raised her arms and hugged each man, pulling them towards her. Both Alex and Brian turned on their sides, facing her, and she hugged them both tightly. "Wow, I hope you two enjoyed it as much as I did," Erin said excitedly. "That was unusual," Alex said, mostly agreeing. "I found it quite erotic," Brian noted. "I think only good things will come out of this." She turned to Alex. "Thank you, dear, for agreeing to try polyamory." She gave him a kiss that made him want more. "I have to admit that Brian's participation allowed me to relax and enjoy it more." "And thank you, Brian," Erin said, kissing him too. "We couldn't do this without you." Brian remarked with a grin. "It's hard work, but someone has to do it." Everyone laughed. "But like you said, Erin," he added, "family takes care of family." And subscribe to our channel so that your love doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think click to the next one. Click to the next one. Click to the next